Welcome back to another one of my videos. As always, I find these stories that I read to you from different subreddits on the Reddit website. And I always leave a link in the description. So that way, instead of watching gameplay through the video, you can read along if you would like to. That said, let's get into the video. My creepy neighbor. I am still traumatized by this incident. I still think he's watching me. This happened when I was 33 years old. I moved to a new house in Brazil, and I had a neighbor named Josh. He was an old man with a beard and always wore a hat. I saw him outside and said hi. He didn't say anything, but he waved. The next day I went outside to go to the store when I looked to my right and saw someone ducked down behind the fence. I knew who it was, and I said, "You know I can see you, right?" I got in my car and drove to the store while saying, "What a creep." When I returned home with some candy, I saw the guy taking pictures of me. I got creeped out and told the guy to leave me the fuck alone while running inside my house. I locked all of the doors and shut the blinds. I was creeped out by this guy, so I invited my friend Stacy to my house, and we went to bed at 9. The next morning, we woke up and realized that we were missing some of our stuff. I realized that the necklace my dad gave me was gone, and Stacy couldn't find the ring that her brother gave her, and we realized that the neighbor might have taken them, so we waited for him to leave, so that we could sneak into his house and grab our stuff. 5 minutes passed and we saw him leave and decided to wait until he left the neighborhood. After he left, we went to his house. "Nick, what if someone sees us?" "It's morning, dumbass, no one's gonna see us." We tried to open the outside basement door in the backyard, but it was locked. I got super frustrated when Stacy said, "Come on, let's just go back." But before she could finish her sentence, I interrupted her by saying, "No, I know he has my dad's necklace." We found a window near the basement door and pushed it open, and I told Stacy, "Don't be such a wuss." We crawled inside and looked over all the house. When we looked into his room, we were horrified by what we saw. He built a shrine with pictures of me and Stacy watching a movie and sleeping. We got scared, and I said, "Stacy, let's just grab our stuff and go." We managed to find my necklace and her ring, but as we were about to get out, we heard Josh enter the house. So we hid in his closet, and we heard sniffing, and I said, and heard him say, "I smell rats." And he laughed and checked the closet and grabbed Stacy. She screamed, and Josh started to try and kiss her. I found a wooden bat and hit him with it. He fell, and I hit him again, and he passed out. We called the cops, and as they were putting him in the patrol car, he said something I'll never forget. "You guys look so peaceful when y'all sleep." Me and Stacy got scared and moved to a new house in Florida. I still don't know where Josh is, but I still feel him watching me. Everyone else died. I've been kind of obsessing over what the fuck happened out there. I grew up deep in the mountains of North Idaho, 30 miles from the nearest town, which had a population of 2,000. The woods are a comfortable place for me, just not this place. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible without leaving out key details. My wife's uncle, Jay, bought some land just north of Spokane, Washington with a friend of the family, Kay. They got it at a significant discount because a nearby aluminum smelter had polluted the ground and it was impossible to use the water beneath the ground. They had set up 2 plots and each had a camper to live in. Jay had been progressively getting paranoid and saying people were stalking him and watching him in the trees. About 3 months into living there, a man wandering through the woods there had an interaction with Jay and ended up attacking him and breaking his jaw. Upon being arrested, the man said he was overcome with a desire to see if he could kill him with a single punch. 2 months later, Jay was murdered and asleep on the couch in his camper. Kay found him and immediately ran as far away until he stopped to call the police. There was sufficient evidence of who did it, and they quickly caught the killer, who was a 19-year-old boy who said he simply wanted his bike. He beat him to death with a power tool that was laying on the floor nearby, completely bashed his brains in. Kay was completely terrified at all times to be there alone. He had moved in with a family member until 8 months later. He ended up with nowhere else to go and had to return. In constant fear, he finally convinced my pregnant wife and I to come stay with him. The second I turned off the highway onto the property, I was overcome with dread. There were at least 250 crows covering the dirt road up to the property. I didn't sleep whatsoever the first night. I stared into the forest, searching for the cause of my intense fear. The energy of this place was so uncomfortable, and I assumed it was simply just knowing Uncle Jay was killed here. Even the days were eerie. Never did I have a moment where I didn't feel watched here. My wife and I always had the sense of fear, especially after dark. Things sort of normalized for a while until one day Kay began puking and feeling very lightheaded all the time. I took him to the hospital and they said he was fine, probably a flu. At this point, it was the anniversary of Jay's murder. 3 days after the date of Jay's death, Kay comes running out of his camper, screaming, "I can't breathe," waking my wife and I up, and we run out to see what's wrong. Kay had gotten into his car and floored it, crashing into a nearby tree. I run up and peer through the window to see the most intense and most primal fear I've ever seen in someone's eyes. He was gasping and clutching his chest. Moments later, he breathed out one last time and he was dead. I performed CPR for 30 minutes until EMS arrived and pronounced him dead. It was July 10th, 1 year and 3 days after moving there with Jay, and they were both dead. Now it's only me and the wife alone on the property, every moment living in fear, not understanding what had happened here. I don't know why we didn't leave right away. One day I came out to get fresh water from a drum we kept for water to smell the worst smell I'd ever smelled. The water container had a 1-inch opening on top, and inside the water was bits and pieces of chipmunks, like spines and heads. They didn't fall in. Something ripped them apart before putting them inside. The nights were getting worse and worse. I never saw anything, just always filled with unease, hearing crashing and footsteps every night. One night my wife and I returned home to having the worst feeling I've ever felt. Everything looked different. Although everything was right where we left it, nothing seemed in place. Looking around, I suddenly see this orange long-haired manged cat sitting on a stump. This cat's eyes were so intense, fiery, almost glowing, but not quite. We start hearing branches snapping, pine needles crunching, seemingly from every direction. I'm still staring at this cat, almost frozen in fear. Suddenly a voice breaks out, echoing throughout the forest. "Hello? Is anyone out here?" A little girl, I thought, but something was off. My wife yells back, "Hello? Are you okay?" "Anybody," the voice had changed. "Help! Help me!" We yelled back several times without response. This part I won't yell. "Somebody fucking help me." The most intense shrieking, evil-sounding voice of a woman. I'm filled with more intense fear than I can ever describe. But my wife, she is overcome with the need to find this person, and she started to head off into the forest without a word. I grabbed her by the arm and tell her something isn't right. Why won't she respond to us? She tries to break free from me to go off alone. I tell her to get into the truck and I'll grab the spotlights. We aren't going on foot. We roll the windows down and shine my intense sleep-bright LED lights throughout the forest. We slowly creep down the road, yelling back. As we get further down the road, the voice strikes out, "Please, won't anyone fucking help?" Sounds are difficult to pin down in the woods, but this one was very close. I hit the brakes and stop immediately. We shine the lights and yell back, searching. No sign of anyone when suddenly the voice explodes into the cabin of the vehicle, as if they were standing right outside my window. "Help me. Somebody fucking help." Leaving my ears hurting and ringing. I hit the gas and didn't look back. Called the police when I hit the highway, and afterwards they said there was no one around. I picked up our stuff the next day, and my wife gave birth the following day. We never stayed there again after the baby was born. What the hell could do these things? I never even believed in paranormal things before, but I don't know what else happened. If you liked that video, then like the video. If you're going to bed soon, sweet dreams. And if you have a full day ahead of you, I hope it goes well. Thank you for taking your time to spend on watching one of my videos on my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.